How's it going, my dudes? Welcome back to another Goddess of Genesis video. So for today, before I'm gonna start the video, I'm just gonna have to put a disclaimer over here that you're gonna be a bit disappointed, okay? One of my viewers actually requested for this video to be made, and therefore here's where I am. Unfortunately, I hope more than the reality is that the R units are generally not that viable. I can't really see a reason why anyone would want to use most of the R units, okay? But the couple of R units that I'm going to bring up, they are significantly much stronger than their counterparts, and they are really good, and they are used everywhere as well. Okay, so no surprises here. The first R hero that is actually really good, Marco Polo. Okay, so she's quite on par with Valkyrie in terms of, not in terms of stats, okay, in terms of stats, she's falling behind in a little bit, especially in the physical defense sector, okay? So I'm just gonna go ahead and give you a quick comparison between a 4-star Marco Polo and a 4-star Valkyrie, both at the same awakening level. This is the Valkyrie stats instead: S, B+, S, A, and B. Okay, so generally stats are better across the board. However, take note that they do have the same perks. Okay, so whatever your Valkyrie could have, the Marco Polo will have as well. Okay, so there you go, they are the same. So they are in essence, they kind of work the same way because they are both interceptors. Okay, so if you have seen my previous video on me using Marco Polo, you understand that I use Marco Polo to intercept my one single DPS. So with 2 tanks, I'm able to really protect my Lucifer a lot of the time, alright? So when HP is above 50%, triggers intervene and protects all allies. Doubles own physical defense during the first 2 turns in a battle, decreases own physical damage taken by 15%. This is really good. This, I feel like, is a lot better than what Valkyrie has. What Valkyrie has is just a 100% chance to enter the guard status. What happens when you upgrade it further though? Upon taking action, chance to remove CCs. Okay, so that's actually really good. But in terms of like the early game, I think Marco Polo has a bigger advantage in terms of like really receiving 0 damage for some of the hits. Okay, so sometimes like not my Marco Polo, but I have encountered Marco Polos out there when my Lucifer goes straight for the Marco Polo, elemental advantage and all that. Bam, she blocks my attack. I do 0 to 10 damage per hit, which is crazy. Okay, so there is that. There is a friendly intervention. Slam, no big deal over here. Around the world. Okay, so this is where Marco Polo differs from Valkyrie in a little bit. Okay, so Marco Polo actually has a stun, has an innate stun. Okay, so around the world, deals physical damage, and then it stuns a single enemy, which is going to be very useful in terms of let's say if the enemy is running one single tank, your Marco Polo is going to be able to stun that one tank that they have, and then you can go ham onto their unit. So that's where Marco Polo excels in. But because Marco Polo is kind of slow C+ in speed, you're going to be stunning a tank to do your follow-up attack on turn 2 at least. Okay, so take note of that. You're not going to do like a turn 1 wreck, unlike Poseidon. Okay, Poseidon can AoE taunt and do all the damage from turn 1. And her ultimate, which I think is really quite useful, aim at me, restores HP by 25 of max HP, plus 2000, and enters the guard status. Okay, so and then you increase your block furthermore. So this is really good, very tanky. Basically, when your HP is like teetering to the 50% orange zone, you can actually just drop this skill, restore a huge chunk of your HP, and then you enter the guard status, which further reduces, I think, like 50% of the damage that you take or something like that. And then you furthermore increases your block by 20%, and what happens when you block is you actually reduce the incoming damage by 50%. So no matter whether you get crit or not, the final damage that you receive will be negated by 50%. And furthermore, of course, you're in a guard status, which further reduces the damage by a significant amount. Okay, so aim at me, really good. No big deal about the support skill. I don't think you want to use her as a supporter. Stat wise, like I said, it could be better, but because she's an R type, I don't really want to expect more. And in fact, I think the stats, okay, the basic requirements, they are there as well. So she works well as what she is right now. So for an R type unit, she is really good. Okay, really good. If you do not have a Valkyrie, highly suggest you build a Marco Polo. She's gonna be really useful in a lot of the PvE modes as well. I use her all the time. And in terms of suggested perks, I would just suggest like Adversity. I think that's like the best in this set. Unfortunately, Marco Polo and Valkyrie have not the most ideal perks. Okay, so but because their kit is really strong enough, Death Pulse it's possible to run Death Pulse because Marco Polo will have an opportunity to use a normal attack. Okay, she uses her second skill first, and then she uses her ultimate. She will then use her first skill. So there is a chance that she can restore, but you know what? It's only just 15% of max HP. It's not a big deal. Just bring a healer instead. That works better. Okay. Holy Immunity. That's garbage. Moving on to hero number 2. Okay, so Shakespeare. Let's go right into this hero. What this hero specializes in is lots of buffs. Okay, so this hero is crazy for doing like all kinds of random buffs. You can get invincibility, you can get regeneration, you can get attack buffs, you can get defense buffs, you can get immunity, divinity I think they call it. You get all kinds of buffs from Shakespeare. So sometimes I get a huge clutch on the invincibility buff, and that is crazy good. Okay, so that's going to be really useful. I will show you Shakespeare footage when I do United by Battle next week. I will record a footage of me using Shakespeare. Very OP, very MVP. Okay, so let's look at the talent. His talent, after taking an action, grants 3 random allies 1 random buff. Okay, so like I said, it can be anything. Upon death, grants all allies another random buff. Upgrading further just increases the number of allies who can receive a buff after you take a turn. So if you raise him up to 6 stars, all allies gain 1 random buff. Moving on, normal attack does nothing. Doomed Fate. Okay, so this is just like a little bit of DPS. Honestly, it's not a good skill at all. If target's HP is below 50%, you do extra damage. If you kill the target, you actually regen a little bit of HP. But Shakespeare is not really that much of a damage dealer. He is just really good at buffing. So here comes the ultimate love sonnet. Grants all allies 2 random buffs. 50% chance to remove 1 debuff. So this is good in all aspects. Okay, so you grant your allies 2 random buffs. You could get like crit buff, you can get attack buff. That's going to be a very big advantage to your turn. All right, when you take your turn, that's going to be really huge. 50% chance to remove 1 debuff as well. I'm not sure whether you can remove CCs like stun, petrify, frozen. I'm not sure whether you can remove those. I haven't actually observed that because I don't really have the opportunity to see that so frequently. But in terms of support, this hero is really good. Okay, with 1 turn cooldown on the Love Sonnet, that's amazing. Okay, so you're gonna Love Sonnet, use your second skill, then you Love Sonnet. Okay, but here's the problem when you do that. You're not gonna be able to reset your buffs that much. You can continue to upkeep the buffs as long as you buff the same buff. So as long as you hit the jackpot, like you land an attack buff on turn 1, and then on turn 3 you land another attack buff, then you can extend the buff durations. If not, if you give your ally a new buff, unfortunately the buffs are just gonna lapse because most of the buffs last for 2 turns anyway. So yeah, in terms of support, he's also really good as a support. Grants all allies 1 random buff, 50% chance to grant an extra buff. Really good support. Highly recommend. If you don't want to use him as a main for whatever reason, you can still use him as a support. That works as well. So in terms of stats, ideally he's supposed to be fast, and yes, he is really fast, S+. Okay, so he's like, I think like the 2nd fastest or maybe like the 3rd fastest, something like that. First being Alice, of course. And in terms of the rest of his stats, unessential. Completely unessential. He doesn't need HP, doesn't need it, PP, physical defense and magic defense. They're not really that important. All he needs is to take his first turn, buff up, and just lay back and chill. Okay, let a tank protect you or something like that. So like I said, his int is low. As such, his second skill is not going to be doing a lot of damage anyway. So it's kind of garbage, to be honest. And it eats up 2 of your energy, so it's not really good for the early game. So you may consider not using his second skill completely, entirely. You can just like go into his first skill just to maybe save up on some energy, especially in the early game, right? And in terms of perks, unfortunately, because he's not a heavy damage dealer at all, he's not going to be doing much. All his perks are all damage related. Okay, so they're not going to be very useful. So it doesn't matter what you take. If I were you, I'll just go for either Soul Impact or Holy Barrier, just because the stats are going to be a lot higher. So this is just like the level 1 stats. If you max it out, I think it's going to be like 8,000 HP or something like that. 8,000 HP, and across the board it's going to be a lot more than your first 2 perks. So I would just go for those just because of the stats. This is actually the second and the final R hero that is, to me, good enough to focus on. Okay, the rest of the R type units, I think they're not really that good. I think if you have any other natural born SRs, they're going to be a lot more effective in most aspects. Maybe the wolf, but for life stealing, but nah. So with that said, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope it was informative. I don't know how I managed to drag it out so long. I think because I didn't really have like an agenda in mind. Yeah, with that said, I hope this video helped you in some sense. If it did, let me know in the comments. And as always, like, comment, and subscribe if you have not already done so. And I will see you as always in the next video.